Good morning, Kilbourne. Welcome to your first edition of your 2014-2015 WKHS News. I'm Zach Walton. We have all been startled by the number of people killed in the Ebola outbreak over in Africa. The fear was worsened when 2 infected Americans were brought back to the U.S. Maya Happ and Sarah Johnson tell us more about the fatal disease.
The recent Ebola outbreak is one of the largest outbreaks in history, according to Center for Disease Control and Prevention. With more than 3,000 infected and growing, the outbreak has caused worldwide chaos and fear.
What were your feelings about the American doctors being brought back in the U.S. for treatment?
My feelings were that it was a little scary and a little sketchy because I don't want it to spread to the United States.
What were your guys' feelings about the American doctors being brought back in the U.S. for treatment?
I think it's pretty good because we have good doctors here.
I don't know. It's kind of weird having it brought back to the U.S.
If you had the opportunity to go out and help the affected countries, would you?
No, because I don't want to be in that danger.
The World Health Organization is warning that as many as 20,000 people may be infected before the outbreak in West Africa is contained. Dr. Tom Frieden, the director at the CDC, says they know how to stop Ebola. The challenge now is to meet the massive demand for the cure. This is Sarah Johnson
and Maya Happ, WKHS News.
I was 4 years old when 4 planes were hijacked by men representing the fundamentalist group Al-Qaeda. I don't remember much, but Annika Thomas and Katie DeMauro are here to remind me and you about this fateful event and what you remember about that day.
September 11th holds the day many will never forget. The day tragedy struck the United States as 2 commercial airliners, piloted by terrorists, set their sights on the World Trade Center towers, killing over 3,000 Americans. Although this horror occurred 13 years ago, the sadness still weighs in our hearts. WKHS News went around Kilbourne to find out how 9/11 has affected them and what the day symbolizes.
What do you think of when you hear 9/11?
I think of the fear and how it affected a lot of people in America, and just it frightens me that it could happen at any time.
How do you commemorate the day?
In a lot of our classes we speak about it, especially in history, and we watch movies that explain it more because I was in preschool, so I don't really remember it.
Where were you on 9/11?
Well, I was right here actually teaching, if I remember, in room 211, and the rest of the morning is very clear in my memory. Well, it was a significant moment for our country from the standpoint of we felt very secure, and then all of a sudden we were opened up to a world of terrorism that we've been seeing for many, many years in other places. So we don't have the same comfort and security, and obviously our country's involved in a lot of anti-terrorism activities since then. So it's certainly a moment of change for us, and every year when September 11th comes around, I remember where I was and what I was doing with my family and how it felt. So it's still very real to me.
Do you do anything to commemorate the day?
Well, will be taking some time in my classes to reflect, and I use a film which spends a lot of time looking at the experiences of that day, and so I will be taking most of the day in class, particularly with my history kids, to do that. And personally, I imagine I'll be reflecting a great deal on where I was and what I was doing that day, because again, it's still very real to me and to most of us who were involved in activities in the school that day.
Since 9/11-2001, the U.S. has made many efforts to remember the ones lost on this tragic day. At the forefront of these efforts is the 9/11 Memorial and Museum located at Ground Zero in New York City. The construction began in March of 2006 and was finally finished on April 30th, 2012. The museum holds artifacts of the victims and remnants from the towers and the planes used in the attack. The memorial is located at Ground Zero where the 2 towers stood. Fountains have the names of the victims engraved in them. With the construction of the museum and memorial, remembering the day and the ones lost becomes a little easier. Katie DeMauro and Annika Thomas, WKHS News.
Hey, traditions are important here at Kilbourne. We like to review them as we start off our new school year. Here is Maya Happ letting us know about our Victory Bell.
My favorite tradition here at Kilbourne is the Victory Bell. When a team wins a game, they usually come here during the bell to represent their win.
The Kilbourne Wolfateria has some new federal laws that have to be met. Kayla Beals and Audrey Wachtel tell us about what's to come.
Many returning students may have noticed changes in school lunches this year that are different than last year. We interviewed cafeteria manager Mrs. Warner, who says all of the changes are made by state regulations. What are some of the changes that have been happening in the school lunches this year?
One of the biggest changes and exciting changes is when you get your lunch, when you get your entree, you can add up to 2 fruits and 2 vegetables. That equates to 8 ounces for you, and we have lots of variety, and we portioned everything in 4-ounce portions. So you can take 2 cups of fruit and 2 cups of vegetables. We have lots of choices out there that you'll see in this piece. We have fresh cantaloupe, strawberries, grapes. They come seasonally, so just keep looking around. And what we want to promote is that you have the right fuel to get through your school day, and when you eat that way, you're going to get positive results throughout the whole day. We're not trying to keep food away from you, but we are trying to just promote, like the whole trend across the country, of healthful eating. What we're doing is, again, trying to promote the healthy lunch and the full lunch so that we can have everything out in the hot area, and you can see all the different choices that we have. And instead of the food just sitting there and getting all dried out under the hot lights, you're having it served by our lunch ladies, our professionals, and they can help you with choices and vegetarian choices. So hang in there with us. We're moving as fast as we can, and we just want the food to be hot and fresh and healthful for you.
If you have any more questions about the changes, Mrs. Warner and the rest of the cafeteria workers are willing to answer them. Audrey Wachtel, WKHS News.
WKHS News wanted to see how the freshmen are doing, so we went out on a search to find out.
I am looking forward to the social life, homecoming, going to the football games, and all that stuff.
I love it. I love the teachers and the students here. It's a lot of fun.
And what are you looking forward to this year?
Football games, volleyball games, chilling out.
What are you looking forward to most in high school?
I'm looking forward to sports, football games, and meeting new people.
What are you looking forward to most this year?
I'm looking forward to soccer and sports and young life and freedom.
After last week's game, it's pretty obvious that we own Wotown. Here's Taylor Hoffaker and Jacob Shepard with the highlights.
In case you missed it, the Wolves shut out the Cards 42-0 last Friday. It is clear that we own Wotown. Quarterback Griffin Dawn was a great leader for the Wolves in the win against the Cardinals with 100 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. The running back Isaiah Young led the ground attack with 112 rushing yards and a touchdown. Josh Stoner also contributed with a 16-yard touchdown run and a 38-yard touchdown reception from Griffin Dawn. But the offense wasn't the only side to put points on the board. Safety Joe Davis scored on a 28-yard interception return from the Cards quarterback Terrell Washington. The defense kept the pressure on, rarely letting the Cardinals into Wolves territory. Good luck to the varsity football team at Hamilton Township tonight at 7 o'clock. Taylor Hoffaker, WKHS News.
This has been your WKHS News. Good luck to all fall sports this weekend, especially girls water polo, varsity tennis, and varsity volleyball. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend.
To arrange a visit, go to uc.edu/visit. Cincinnati Smart.